I think right now I can stop putting any hesitation that Ted Cruz might be just a wolf in sheep's clothing. I can put that thought to rest because right here, he's speaking right to my soul. He's introducing a bill that is going to put term limits on everybody. And it's fucking awesome, okay? Listen, he's proposing, and he's got a bunch of Republicans to side with him. Some people who are retiring, like Pat Toomey, who we just covered. Marco Rubio, who has the likelihood of being reelected that Joe Biden does. Todd Young, I'm sure he's a nice guy. And Rick Scott, who is, also on the chopping block. And it's also a constitutional amendment, so it just needs a simple majority in the House, and then it needs a supermajority in the Senate. Listen, 17 Democrats are not going to be giving up their lifelong power, because we just covered old Leahy there, and the dude has been around for 8 fucking terms. You think he's going to be giving up his power anytime soon, but no. We need to at least highlight this, because this fucking rules. And it's good. You know what? I had my 4-and-4 strategy, but Cruz pares it down a little bit. And you know what? Politics shouldn't be a job, okay? You should just make your time in the public life short and sweet, get to what you want to, and then just keep the fucking cycles moving. Oh, but what about the subcommittees? Fuck your subcommittees. Go in there, do your job, fuck off. Go back to whatever you were doing before, okay? You remember senators. Senators used to be elected by the state houses, okay? There was no direct vote in order to put a senator at a federal level, okay? They used to be appointed for their 6-year term, and then they could have been recalled for whatever fucking reason by their state house, okay? And when that was going on, term limits, or rather the term life of a senator was about 2.3 times, okay? Somewhere in that area. They weren't lifelong politicians. They were chilling for like a full term, maybe 2. That would be it. And then they'd be back off farming, running their business, practicing law. You just knew these people because they were in your community. They weren't just these people living in their glass houses just telling you how to live, but then having no idea what it's like to be back home. So I love this. It has 0% chance of passing. But at least it's back in public consciousness because Cruz tried this in 2019. It just got no traction, but at least he has co-sponsors on this one. So we're going to get through his press release from his website, and then we're going to take a look directly at the House resolution because it's nice and short and to the point. So I'll be able to read through most of it and give you a little bit of my thoughts because I love it. I really do. United States Senator Ted Cruz, the man who will not back down, along with Senators Mike Braun from Indiana, Pat Toomey from Pennsylvania, Marco Rubio from Florida, Todd Young from Indiana, and Rick Scott from Florida today reintroduced an amendment to the United States Constitution that would impose term limits on members of Congress. United States senators would be limited to 2 6-year terms. Awesome. 12 years in the Senate. That is perfectly fine. There's enough time to get your shit in. And members of the House of Representatives to 3 2-year terms, 6 years. If you can't figure out what the fuck you're doing over the course of 6 years, over the course of 2 presidential cycles and a midterm, or 2 midterms and a presidential cycle, then you shouldn't have the opportunity to just make a career out of this, like to just sit in some deeply Democratic or deeply Republican district, never have any chances, and just build up the infrastructure around you to just create this easy job in perpetuity. You just look at Nancy Pelosi. I was just looking last night. She sits in a D plus 27 district. There is no chance that she is ever going to lose her spot. Okay. And there are some House seats in like Oklahoma or Alabama that are probably just as red. And those guys there never have a chance of losing their spot unless they retire. But no, this is also great too, because this makes the House reflect better on the moves of the Senate and especially on the moves of the president. Okay. President will be around for 8 years. House reps will be around for 6. Senators will be around for 12. I know, quick math, right? No, and if the president and the Senate are doing their job well, then the House should reflect that. It won't be these legacy voters kicking around forever and ever. There's just going to be constant ebbs and flows of, okay, are the Democratic Party, you know what, do they have a good platform? Do they have as much support as Clinton did across the country? Because the dude actually united both sides. We can dig into the weeds there the later time, but yeah, he had massive support, or even Obama during his first term because he was black and didn't really have a background that you could check him on. So, or maybe, you know what, really liked what Reagan was doing, and for his 2 years in office, it was just a red fucking house. That's cool. That's great. I think you'll still have a little bit of wiggle room up there in the Senate. For guys will constantly be in and out depending on whatever the cycles shake out. It'll better reflect the will of the people, and that's all this is for. And this is great. Here's how Cruz reintroduced it. Every year, Congress spends billions of dollars on giveaways for the well-connected. Washington insiders get taxpayer money and members of Congress get reelected, all while the system fails the American people. It's no wonder why the vast majority of Americans from every political stripe, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, all libertarians, whoever the fuck you decide to identify as, overwhelmingly support congressional term limits, and the only people who oppose it are those congressmen and women. The rise of the political careerism in today's Congress is a sharp departure from what the founders intended of our federal governing bodies. I had long called for this solution for the brokenness in Washington, D.C. Like I said, he initially introduced this in 2019, and I will continue fighting to hold career politicians accountable. As I have done so in the past, I urge my colleagues to submit this constitutional amendment to the states for speedy ratification. That would be great. Rick Scott chimes in, career politicians are never going to make the tough choices needed to get our nation on a successful path. Yep, it's all about re-election. Senator Young, Washington needs more problem solvers and fewer politicians. Senator Braun, I'm proud to have signed a term limit pledge for myself and the support a constitutional amendment to break up the farm system of politics and take on the dysfunction in D.C. And Senator Toomey, I am old and I just want to go home. Can I have a sweater? No. As Benjamin Franklin, his former classmate, put it, in free governments, the rulers are the servants and the people their superiors. For the former to return among the latter does not degrade but promote them. I think that's what I was talking about in my opening preamble. Sweet, we got the amendment right here. Don't have to go to Twitter. I love it. Right, yeah, it's short, sweet, and to the point, and that's what it should be, and that's what all of politics should be. So, proposing an amendment to the Constitution of the United States relative to limiting the number of terms that a member of Congress may serve. Resolved by the Senate and House Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled, 2/3 of each house concurring therein. Oh, okay, my mistake. Then I guess the House would also have to vote for a supermajority. So, like I said, there's not a lot of chance that this passes through, but you know what? The fact that it's there and the fact that it's resurfacing again, and it has a few senators hopping on it, gives it a better than zero chance, but I still wouldn't put it in the double digits, to be completely honest. Now, the following article is proposed as an amendment to the Constitution of the United States, which shall be valid to all intents and purposes as part of the Constitution when ratified by the legislatures of three-fourths of the several states within 7 years and the date of its submission by the Congress. Okay, so if I got this right, everything I've been talking might be a little bit stupid. So this will take effect over 7 years, and you need 75% of the different state houses to pass this, if it gets through the House of Representatives as well. Okay, so it would have to get a supermajority in the House and in the Senate, and then it would go down to the states in order to ratify it, in order to make a constitutional amendment. Okay, I understand. So what does it propose to do? No person who has served 3 terms as a representative shall be eligible for election in the House of Representatives. For the purpose of this section, the election of a person to fill a vacancy in the House of Representatives shall be included as one term in determining the number of terms that person has served as a representative and the person fills a vacancy for more than 1 year. Okay, so yeah, in the event that somebody dies or resigns and has to fill in, if they're in there for longer than a year, then that counts as one of their terms. Okay, I like it. No person who has served 2 terms as a senator shall be eligible for election or appointment to the Senate. For purposes of this section, the election or the appointment of the person to fill the vacancy in the Senate shall be included as one term in determining the number of terms that such a person has served if the person fills the vacancy for more than 3 years. So they're going for half. As soon as you cross that 51% barrier, that means it's a full term, so spend your time wisely. And finally, Section 3. No term beginning before the date of the ratification of this article shall be taken into account in determining eligibility for election or appointment under this article. Okay, so everybody's going to start at a blank slate regardless of what your previous service was. Everybody starts at the 3 and 2 delegation. I like it. Nobody's going to be grandfathered in beforehand. So anybody who's currently serving in the House, if this gets passed and then you got that 7-year window and they manage to sneak through all fucking 8 times, or rather 4 times over 8 years, they don't get grandfathered in. Like, they can't be career politicians. They got their 3 more terms, use them wisely. Or they got their 2 more terms up in the Senate, mazel tov. I like it. I really, really like it. And it's something that I bang on if not every day, I at least hit on once a week. So this threw what I was going to do for my third video of the day into a little bit of a disarray, because there's like 3 or 4 different topics that I was thinking about talking about, but because I've seen this come up, I just had to bring it to your guys' attention, because term limits are something that's essential, and starting with the Congress members is great. Now let's talk about making the rest of the governorships 2 terms as well, because it's only some of the states that have term limits on their governors. Otherwise, you can serve like a king like Cuomo does. And while we're at it, let's slap it on that Supreme Court as well, because fuck those pansies. We don't need them around for another 50 fucking years. Except for Thomas. He can chill forever. Anyways, guys, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.